Hi everyone, Julie here. If you want to hear future episodes before anybody else, join our Patreon, where you'll get episodes 3 days early, as well as access to Slack and all sorts of other things. You can find us at patreon.com/Podlander Drunkcast. Thanks for listening. Visit us at podlanderpresents.com to find information on all of our shows.
Yeah.
What is the real shirt? I can't see it. It's an oral medium, Allison.
It's an oral medium.
Nice.
Tom was camping in Wisconsin this weekend and brought back some of Wisconsin's finest Nuclearis Spotted Cow. What are you drinking on this fine occasion, Amelia?
Well, I opened a Gia for later, but right now I'm enjoying a Mars Elixir Botanical Tea Chai Life with CBD. Ooh.
Wow.
I know.
You know what?
Who are we? We've switched places. You're
know.
drinking and I'm consuming weed products.
Had a little time swapsies, maybe.
Oh, no, we did.
What I'm saying, Amelia, is I am my own great-great-great-great-granda.
It sounds funny, I know, but it really is so.
Welcome to the Parent Trap. Welcome to Podlander Drunkcast, an Outlander podcast. That was a bit of a bit, but there's so much to fucking talk about this episode. What do you want? Do you want jokes or do you want piping hot content? I think you want the piping hot content. I'm Allison.
I'm Amelia.
Julie, bless her, is out sick. So somehow we will have to talk about Brie and Roger fucking to In the Air Tonight without her. I'm not sure how we're going to manage that, but surely we will. Because, Brie and Roger just laying down some pipe.
Yep.
In the air tonight.
Something, make the word drum fill dirty, something. Yes.
I have thoughts about that drum fill. When we first watched this episode yesterday, we're recording on Monday, July 21st, 31st. And when Amelia and I watched the episode yesterday, I was fully on board with the sex scene and the needle drop. And I want to be clear, I still am, and we'll get into it. But I have one major note, and maybe this is actually our bit. That is maybe the most famous, oh my God, here are some drums moment in all of pop music. I wouldn't speak to classical music, I'm sure. There are some very important, oh my God, all of a sudden there are drums moments in classical music that I'm not thinking of. But in terms of pop music, ba-dum, 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 boom, boom. I mean, it's iconic. It is iconique. And it's certainly, if you're looking at it as a structural choice, going to the I'm going to hoist you up around my waist to better position you for penis entry when we flop down on our fold-a-bed seems to be the right moment for the ba-dum, 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 bum, bum.
Yeah, it's the sound of their fold-a-bed collapsing underneath them.
Totally. But I gotta say, I feel like it warranted more of a belt, hand, bed, pillow, you know what I mean? Get a little more percussive with it. Surely some editor in the editing bay was like, guys, I could make this really spicy. And they're like, nah. No, then why do you pay for the needle drop? There are sexier songs of the time. Surely.
I know. I'm like, 1981. What? What is it? Well, the song came out in 1981. I looked it up.
Of course you did.
Of course I did.
I just think you could have timed kilt hits the floor on one butt-ump, and then a top hits the floor on one butt-ump, and then a brassiere flies, and then
then the final butt-ump is just boob, grab.
Boob, yes.
Yeah.
I just have some notes. I think, there's a big needle drop. They spent at the beginning of some season of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, I think it's season 2. I think Love Colonels, season 2. Yes. Daryl is now played by Broomwood Stand, season 2.
Is it 2 or 3? I think you're right. It's 2.
There's a line in that song that I think up often, which is, this video ate up our production budget. Love droplets. Daryl is not played by a boom or every cent. Daryl is not played by a broom on a stand, right? Which Diarmaid Murtagh, I swear to God, I'm not making that up. That really is his name, is not a broom on a stand. I want to be really clear about that. He is not a broom on a stand. He is much more expressive than a broom on a stand. Although
he's not a corpse on a horse. He's not a broom on a stand.
No, we like him. I'm a big fan. Can't wait to talk more about that dude. But I do feel a little bit like In the Air Tonight must have eaten up their music budget. You know, like if it ate up their needle drop budget. And if you're going to do that, then time the drum beats to some fucking. Ba-dum, 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 boom, boom. Like, boob, boob. Definitely. Boob, boob.
It's right there.
Anyway, Patty, we're not here to just talk about drum beats. We are talking about Outlander Season 7, Episode 7, the penultimate episode in the first half of the second to last season of Outlander. It fucks. It was written by Margot Yee and directed by Joss Agnew. As a reminder, for this season, all of the individual episodes were directed in pairs. So Joss Agnew, this is their first episode of the season. They also directed the mid-season finale, which we can, I think, safely assume is the continuation of the Battles of Saratoga, along with time travel shenanigans and some light kidnappery. So I think he did a really good job, and I'm stoked to talk about this episode. Amelia, overall thoughts initially. How do you feel? How did you vibe? What do you think? What did it on a practical guide to time travel?
I mean, not to skip ahead to the scales, but I found there were very few opportunities to get a beer.
Oh yeah, no chill.
Yeah.
Right from the
no
get-go.
chill. And it mostly felt, earned. I didn't see or hear or sense any rustlings of the mustache getting in the way. It all, I mean, as far as Outlander can be, it felt pretty grounded and spicy. We love it.
Grounded and spicy, like meat.
Yes.
You know what else can be good with meat?
This is a sloppy Joe of,
It is a sloppy Joe of an episode. You know what else can be good with meat? Mustard. Like a regiment.
God damn it.
It's so bad. I'm never going to stop. So this season we've been doing a lot of let's divvy up our dueling storylines and cover them one at a time. And I think we can continue with that one this time around, which means that we should start with our supporting players, our guest cast, our just around for a little tiny touch of the old season 1 magic, Jamie and Claire, who are delightful. And here basically for plot setup and one scene of piping hot piss. So where do we start with these folks, Amelia? Where do we rejoin our hero and heroine?
Well, we see all these tents set up. We're at Bemis Heights. I'm not from the East Coast. In September of 1777.
Claire at least says Bemis Heights, so I think your first instinct was correct.
Great. Claire is writing on the little encampment with the cutest little portable writing desk I've ever seen in my entire life.
I'm obsessed with it. I have no need for one, but I want one very badly. Also, fun fact, did you know that Jane Austen's writing desk was purchased at auction by Kelly Clarkson?
She's one of us.
She's one of
Kelly!
us.
One of us.
Since you've been gone, it's been centuries, but I bought your writing desk.
Claire is writing a letter to Bree,
as you do,
where she does my favorite thing in a while, where she really glosses over what her life is like, right? So it's like a long ass old timey letter. I met your brother at Ticonderoga. I was captured. I'm safe now. That's it. Because this bitch gets captured and Jamie has to bust her out so often that in writing the historical record for her daughter, whom she misses, it's just, I was captured. I'm safe now. Okay, moving on. Happy 1777. Bye.
I met your brother. He's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I will say, I prefer to have Claire voiceovers in letra form because at least then there's a reason, I like that little gloss as opposed to Claire just telling us about things for reasons that are hard to justify unless you're reading a book. But yeah, it's not scintillating prose.
No.
Not at all. But the writing
Not at
desk
all.
is sick. So we see the tents have amassed, and there's a great battle on the horizon, the Battle of Saratoga. And that's about it, because then we cut to Brianna in an Amelia Bazell dress.
Yeah, like my Gunny Sacks fantasy being lived.
It looks
Blue
so
frock.
cute and so comfy. You know there are pockets in that thing.
Oh, yeah.
Great sleeves. She's just sitting in one of the season 7 blue chairs with a giant mug of what one assumes is tea, reading one of her mom's letters, which is remarkably well preserved. She puts it back in the box, which for some reason she does not lock.
Does it have a lock? I guess it does because it was in the bank.
They had to pry it open.
Oh, that's true.
Because I don't know if you are aware, but there's a solid gold musket ball in that bitch.
But it's disguised.
Not anymore, it's not.
Oh, that's true. Okay, fine. There's a lock.
And also, priceless artifacts that were written to definitely not people in the future. So she kind of drops it back off in somewhere in the office because she has to rush downstairs in a hurry because Roger comes barreling in with the scene that should have happened at the end of the last episode.
Yep.
And it's great, don't get me wrong, but it would have been even better as a cliffhanger. So having really clocked his mysterious Nucklevy guest in the kisser, Roger drags in a person he would like to introduce. William Buckley MacKenzie, his old friend from Alamance, who saw his ass hanged because he thought he was flirting with his wife, who is, as we will be informed shortly, Roger's great grandma. Something like that. And then Diarmaid Murtagh, which, do you think when he submitted his headshot and resume, they were like, hired immediately without really doing anything else? I mean, I doubt it. The Outlander casting department is the tits, but presumably that gave him an edge.
Yeah, because even when we see him like with his hair back later, like looking a little more modern, so like, whoa, oh God, Terminator adjacent from the past. Yes, it's you. So yeah, he had to have.
Yeah, it's the name helps. Also, this man, I guess we're doing this now. Even though we were sticking with Claire and Jamie first, but there was a cross dissolve. We had to start somewhere. My point is, this man somehow manages to look a lot like Richard Rankin and a lot like Graham McTavish without resembling either of them directly. When they had their scene across from each other, I was like, wow, that he looks a lot like Richard Rankin. But then you just kind of like lean back and you're like, I can see a young Graham McTavish, the fucking Outlander casting department.
Are you saying that Buck MacKenzie is the have you seen this man of television?
He is. Totally. But anyway, Patty, we are going to continue with our little Claire and Jamie recap. We'll get back to old Buck MacKenzie, who slaps shortly. Our next time spent with Claire and Jamie. Claire is, I think, still writing. Is she still at her cute little writing desk?
Mm-hmm.
When Jamie comes up because he has a present for her. And she very passive-aggressively says, is it, ducks or turkeys this time?
Yeah.
Presumably, every time Jamie goes out to practice with his fancy-dancy sharpshooters, he's just bringing back dead animals. And Claire's like, enough with the dead animals?
But no, it's a book.
It's a book.
And then he goes on to explain, it's bound and has words inside, which is exactly, this is Jamie doing Bridget Jones' Diary. What happens at the office? Well, it's called a publishing house. We take words and we bind them into little things we call books, Jones. Like, that's exactly what Jamie does to Claire.
For more information on why that is hot, even though it's kind of a dick move, please see episode of Sickburn Jane, in which we discuss why Hugh Grant is the best butthole in all of the Pride and Prejudice canon. And also
So
very
true.
hot. just like insanely hot.
And speaking of insanely hot, Jamie gives Claire a book.
He gives her a book. We do not learn what book it is, which kind of bums me out. What do you have a hope of what you would hope it might be?
How to win friends and influence people.
I hope it's Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I'm one of those people who as a child would read the Neverending Story over and over again, and then I would sneeze and then go back to the book and hope it would say, and then Bastian heard a mighty sneeze because he had heard me. So I really want Claire to be like, Jesus H. Roosevelt Christ. Oh, it says Jesus H. Roosevelt Christ right there. But it's probably something much more boring than that. Although who knows? It's a book that made it all the way to some random river. But the point is not the title of the book. There are 2 points of the existence of this scene. Point 1, Claire needs glasses. And we get cute banter about how Claire needs glasses because she keeps holding the book far away from her. Katrina does a very nice job. It's very cute. The only time negging is acceptable is when everybody is on board and it's fun and flirty and not a weird thing where you're trying to emotionally manipulate someone into being attracted to you. This is clearly Jamie being like, hey, old lady, you're old like me, but also older than me because remember, I was a virgin and you were already married. I'm going to buy you glasses for every day of the week. It's very
gold
cute.
Pair for Sundays.
And then she says, are you expecting me to read the Bible? And he's like, no, no way. No. But maybe say a prayer for me tonight. We'll come back to that.
Jamie also dunks on the typesetting of this book, which was
this is the really important thing. It's like we've talked a lot in this little half season about little moments we thought were maybe secret shout outs to the Drunkcast. And I don't think that this moment was a secret shout out to the Drunkcast. I do think there's a chance that someone in Amelia and Bazel's life infiltrated the Outlander writer's room and wrote a joke especially for her.
It's 12-point Gazlon. The gutters are he's like, the gutters are trash. For context, listener, I did marry a man who has Stet tattooed on his wrist, and that was the first thing that attracted me to him. That's a copy editing term. Jamie would know. Yes,
it's one of my favorite little ways to introduce good character details when you're watching or reading or writing or reading when you're watching or writing a TV show for this long. You've got a lot of different ways to sort of call back to earlier things. And the obnoxious way would have been, remember, I was a printer, Claire, back in the days right before do you remember you came to my print shop? And that would have been incredibly obnoxious. And instead, he just takes a little moment to be like, yeah, the font on this thing sucks. And we are just grown up enough to remember that was his whole bag and that he loved printing and that he was good at it. And also that he was a sneaky spy about it and was printing dangerous, rebellious traps. And also accidentally quoting people who hadn't written things yet because he had a time traveling wife who then disappeared and yelled at a person on the highway outside of Craignadoon, a place where I assume a lot of motorists get yelled at. Anyway, more on that again in a couple of minutes. It's a great little scene. And that is almost a wrap because the next time we see Claire and Jamie, Jamie shows up to say Ian captured a deserter. Oh my God, there are a lot of cool shots in this, but Amelia, did you clock the overhead shot when the deserter, whose name we never know, but who looks a lot like Jamie Bell for some reason, is running through the woods and it's overhead and he takes off his coat. So there's a red dot and it becomes a white dot. It's such a cool little shot.
It's really cool.
Anyway, Ian almost shoots him with a bow and arrow, which makes him one of the luckier British people that we meet in this episode because he almost gets shot. Presumably the deserter takes one look at Scottish Terminator 2 and spills his guts about all of the things that are happening back at the camp, which is how the Americans know that General Burgoyne, one of several real historical type figures in this episode and presumably for the rest of the show, is mustering...
Shut up. Don't do it. Don't do it.
He's mustered his troops to prepare to take on the Americans, despite the fact that they have superior numbers, because the British army is the best army in the world. Plus, they have champagne
in coops.
Battlefield coops. You gotta love them. So Jamie, despite the fact that he is the Terminator and encased in plot armor, looks very nervous and says, "Will you kiss me, Claire?" And she says, "Always." Oh, important note. The hot piss scene previously ends on what you might call foreshadowing. When Claire says, "You always come back to me, and if you don't, I'll go looking for you and I'll motherfucking kill your ass."
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's basically all we get of Claire and Jamie until the very last shot of the episode, which, Amelia, what do we see in the pan across the battlefield? Corpse by corpse.
Corpse by corpse, a mixture of regalia. And there, face down, is one sexy quail from the Quail Squad. And we know that quail. It's our favorite quail. It's Jamie, face down in the mud.
In my notes, I wrote that he was pinned into the mud by the weight of his impenetrable plot armor. If I am spoiling anything for you, I sincerely apologize. But no, I don't, because anyone listening to this podcast has at least a rudimentary level of media literacy. So you all know that Jamie's not dead, right? The show has been renewed for a whole other season, and we're only halfway through the 7th one. The odds of season 8 of Outlander being a Jamie-free zone are basically zero. This man is not dead. Just pro tip.
Or it's the twist of the century.
I mean, listen, there is a proud history of TV shows killing off lead or major supporting characters very unexpectedly to great and very memorable effect. ER did it several times. One of the great recent examples is The Good Wife. If you were a Good Wife person, there is a very shocking, unexpected main character death that was very vivid. I am not saying it doesn't happen. It absolutely does. However, there are exceptions. And the show that's the time travel sexy romance war show, I mean, we know Jamie is technically dead in 1981, and Frank Randall does see his ghost, but there is zero chance that that man dies on a battlefield with a whole season and a half of TV to go. Just saying.
Or Jamie dies and Tom Christie comes back.
Oh my God. Claire would be like,
not that anyone in the story
fine.
Wants that, but I want that.
Yeah,
just because I want to look at Mark Lewis Jones.
You know what I would love? I would love for Claire to be gearing up to go pioneer Barbie her way across the battlefield and look for her husband, her not dead husband. And just as she's exiting the tent, there's Tom Christie just dragging him through the mud because he's too heavy to lift. I brought you your husband. You damned woman. I'm extremely in love with you, so here's your husband. Gotta go. Gotta go find some other women to say are witches.
Were I a kitty, I would bring this like a mouse to your doorstep.
Oh,
but instead, here's your husband.
Here's your not dead husband. So that it's the least Claire and Jamie episode since the Frank episode, I think.
Yeah.
Like, we don't always have Claire and Jamie. We almost always have Claire. We almost always have Jamie. Yeah, it's almost unprecedented how little of them there is in this episode. And you know what? It's fine.
It's fine. It's still a fun episode.
It's a fun episode. The stuff we get of them is great. The font banter, I will never forget for as long as I live. A plus, very on board. But we've got other stories to follow. Namely, in this episode, we've got Scottish Terminator 3. I'm not even really sure where to start with this one because there's a lot of... it's like plot setup plus filler, only the actors are also good. That... Like, I feel like maybe specifically if the guy playing General Fraser were going for it slightly less hard, that man is delivering like that. that dude is doing Shakespeare all by himself. Like he is like in it. He is playing a tragedy. He is swinging away. It's great. Like maybe to your reference to the scales earlier, I could have snuck away during a little of it, but then I would have missed William cutting an apple in half for no reason.
And as Allison said during the crowdcast as we were watching, well, now you got bugs on that apple.
Yeah. It just felt like, get back to me when you can slice an apple in half in the air with your sword and then catch it before it hits the ground.
Yeah.
Come on. Also, he's like, I'm not going to eat that. It's for my horse. And I'm happy for your horse, but like, dude, apples are good.
Well, and Willie does that partially to impress his battlefield bestie. His name is Sandy, but on the Slack, I'll have you know, Allison, that they named him Elias Pound the second round.
That's hilarious.
Is it Elias?
Elias Pound, the
Elias
second
Pound,
round.
the second round.
That's extremely funny because what I've been calling him in my notes is Doomface Hot Edition. So same energy. But yeah, Doomface Hot Edition. I think it's implied in the teleplay that they've known each other longer than that because there's a reference to the Beefsteak Club. So they were probably pals back in jolly old England. But we met Doomface Hot Edition / Elias Pound the second round last week when he brought Claire some stuff. And here he is, looking hot, stealing champagne from important general meetings, trying to eat an apple that was destined for a horse, and talking about tits.
Yeah.
It's a good short life. So in this meeting, in our first Willie meeting, what stuck out to you?
Honestly, all I see is battlefield coops. That's all I see. I'm just blinded by the coops.
It's good art direction, the coops are, and like the silver fruit bowl and all of the trappings of like fancy general life. Because as we're reminded in a few other scenes, the British Army, the Americans have been burning crops as they're retreating. Because they are ruthless motherfuckers, and so the British are still they're hungries a little. There's some pining for food, glorious food. To which the street urchins of London would say, "Up yours, motherfucker! How does it feel? Taste it. Taste the hunger." Now I just have Oliver stuck in my head. But there's fruit bowl, there's battlefield coops. Everybody is living kind of a decadent moment in this tent. There are not one but two actors who look like they're 90s era Steve Zahn, which is very confusing. And one of them is wearing a mustache, which sort of makes it seem like they hired the same actor twice, which they didn't. But it's now I just want Steve Zahn to be on Outlander. Surely they could find a place for him in the 80s.
Yeah, that's attainable.
Someday. Let's pipe dream for season 8. But they're just General Burgoyne and General Grant and General and Captain Richardson, who is not at all suspicious. No, sir. Absolutely not. No way. Are just talking about the Americans and what their plans are. They're counting on General Howe to make his way up from Albany so they can cut off the Americans and put an end to this war once for all. Spoiler, that's not what happens. When they get a message that's from a good spy, presumably, which is wrapped in the tip of a quill. Oh, Did you catch that? It's cool. They send all of the little baby pompous rich generals out. So William and Doomface Hot Edition, both skedaddle, and that's when they cut apples and talk about tits for the first time. They ask Richardson to stay. He comes back out and is like, "Hey, Ellesmere, time for you to be a spy again." What is your read on that dude as a person who has not read the books? What is your read on Richardson and his weird fascination with the worst spy in England? The worst spy in England! That was not an intentional setup, but I am embracing it.
Yeah. I'm with Julie in he's looking for a patsy. He needs a patsy. He's going to try to get Willie to take the fall for something.
I think that is a solid guess.
I don't know what the something is. But yeah, so then I guess all the better when later on Willie goes up to, Colonel Fraser. Colonel Daddy is the feeling there, very like paternal,
which is
relationship.
Great, because they are in fact related. Because General Fraser is the whatever distant cousin of the old fox, Simon Lord Lovett, of being duped by Claire pretending to be psychic fame.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he's the one where Jamie was like, listen, Fort Ticonderoga butthole, I know this guy. He is a crafty motherfucker, and if you don't put some people defending that their mountainous hill situation, they're going to claim it because Highlanders are wily bastards. And, of course, Jamie was right, but maybe he shouldn't have fired a cannonball at Fort Ticonderoga.
Just an idea.
So they are, every time they have a scene together, they're related. Mm-hmm. It's very Buck Roger, but not.
But yeah. So makes me glad that Willie tells Colonel Daddy, just kidding, I don't want to be messenger. I want to go to war. Yes, Willie, just pivot your way out of being a patsy is my dream for you. And eventually it is wartime.
I had a note about, where is it? About what Willie says when he says, hey, please, please, Colonel Daddy. I am no errant boy. I am a true soldier, is what he said. Which, of course, what he means is, I am no errand boy. I am a true Scottish Terminator, which we will find out in short fucking order. So, General Fraser, Colonel Daddy, is like, yeah, okay, you can stay. That's really dumb of you. But hey, you're brave. So sure, you stay and we can all die together. He's the only one of them that seems at all fatalistic, other than William when he actually wraps his mind around what war is, which I appreciate. Yeah. Like, maybe it's for General Fraser at least, maybe it's a Highland thing. Maybe it's just like decency. I don't fucking know. But we see a lot of the higher ups being like, Papa, we have won. Give me my battlefield coupe. And General Fraser seems to be the only one thinking about death and sacrifice. And I need to hear, Amelia, you continue to talk about this storyline for a second while I pull up that actor's name, because that motherfucker was excellent.
Yes. So eventually it is battle time. And Willie is high up enough that he gets to like boss around the guys getting arranged in their little front lines, fix the bayonets. Meanwhile, over on the side, he and Sandy are like, having some little chit chat. It's, some lighthearted battlefield chit chat, as you have. And Sandy starts to be like, oh, so whose tits do you like better? This token woman who's probably on this scene, or the other token woman who's available in this scene? And just as Willie starts to say, like, well, I do like a girl I probably won't see again. Her name is Rachel. Boom! First shot is fired from the rebels. And it goes straight into the Doomface, the Hot Edition's hot forehead. There is a cool moment where, like, blood comes down from below his hat brim. And then it starts to shoot out forward. And then it just, like, drenches his face and he falls. That was cool. I liked it. You know who didn't like that? Willie didn't like that because that was his friend.
That was his
Willie
friend.
Hits the dirt. The chaos of war breaks out around him. Distantly, in all of like the dust and like the almost like the visual adrenaline of it all, you hear Colonel Daddy like, "Join your men! Join your men!" And that is when Terminator 3 is awakened.
He's unleashed. It is. First of all, I don't know that it was an intentional Saving Private Ryan reference, but Amelia, have you seen that?
No.
You've never seen Saving Private Ryan?
No.
It's extremely deathy. You could. No. I was going to say maybe you could just skip to some of the. There's no way you can just skip through Saving Private Ryan. Anyway, there is a very famous shot in Saving Private Ryan in the like very famous D-Day scene, where an idiot youngster gets shot right in the helmet, and a bullet or something goes ricocheting off the top of it, and he freezes And it's like, holy shit. And he takes off his helmet to look at where the bullet ricocheted off and probably gets shot in the head. It is extremely shocking. Such a it's a very memorable moment in the movie because it's such a human reaction to be that goddamn stupid. You know what I mean? Like, you think, oh my God, this helmet saved my life. I have to see how close this was. Not thinking about the second bullet, not thinking about the person that fired that first one and how they may still have their sights trained on you. You feel like you've escaped death, so you've escaped death forever. Anyway, he doesn't escape death at all, but maybe Willie does. You know what I mean? Like, it's right.
Yeah.
It's the first shot of the whole battle, and it's a doozy, almost like it was shot by a sexy quail from a great distance. From a distance. I'm killing doom. Face hot edition. So Scottish Terminator. He clearly channels his inner Jamie Fraser, which he doesn't know is there, and just takes off at a full tilt run, letting out a blood-curdling scream, much like the men of the motion picture classic Braveheart, which is what Angus McFadden, who plays General Fraser, is best known for. He played Robert the Bruce in Braveheart. He was also in Superman and Lois, the TV show on CW, the very last gasp of the Arrowverse. It looks like he played Robert the Bruce again in a movie called Robert the Bruce. He has done a bunch of British TV. He played Alistair Crowley in Strange Angel, which was a Paramount Plus show from 2019 that I quite liked. Anyway, he's a busy working man, but he's good. So Willie takes off running, having been wakened by Colonel Daddy, and is slicing into people like they're apples. Like they're mid-air apples.
He's armed only with his saber. If he has a gun, he's not pulling it out. I don't think he has guns. Not like he has a cute little pistol. This is the fucking Revolutionary War. He brought a knife to a gunfight, and he is killing the most people.
He's killing so many people. He is looking hot whilst covered in blood, a family trait. And when we leave him, he is not using his saber. He is choking the life out of someone with his bare hands. The bloodline runs strong. It's pretty intense. It's pretty intense. Amelia, imagine that you're a sexy quail. And you are...
I don't have to imagine.
It's true. A Revolutionary War era sexy quail.
Ah, okay, yes.
And you're staring down at the battlefield, beyond the barricade, if you will, at a world you long to see. And you're thinking, should I join in the fight that will give us the right to be free? I could keep going, but I shan't. And you see a handsome young lad choking the life out of a dude with your bare hands. Do you think you'd think, oh, that's my son? Like, do you think the Terminator vibes coming off of Willie are so potent that Jamie would just know?
Well, I guess if we're not going with the theory of Jamie shot Doomface.
I am firmly going with the theory that Jamie shot Doomface, by the way.
Okay. Well, then I guess in this scenario, then Willie wouldn't have necessarily been on the battlefield in that scenario, so then this would be... Yeah, no, either way, I think Jamie's like, yeah, that's the one. Or I guess if, speaking as a sexy quail, I would say I admire that young fellow's spunk so much that I will join on the battlefield and peck out his opponent's eyes with my little beak. That's what I would do. That's how I would show my respect.
Well, and you would know, being a contemporary sexy quail.
Yes.
Who is not a gun owner, it should be said. It's just that
the bloodline does run deep. The
bloodline is, blood will tell, as they say. Speaking of the witches get, we'll talk about Buck MacKenzie again in a little bit. So post-battle, Willie is sitting around being real, at what they would eventually call shell-shocked, battle-worn, when he hears one of his grunts, understandably, must be said, pissing and moaning about having to march in the mud and then fight in the mud and then dig in the mud to bury muddy corpses. And William is having none of that. What do you think his objection is here, Amelia?
Because he wants Sandy to have a respectable death and not get dug up by animals. I don't know. What? There's a joke here that I missed it. So how about you tell me what the joke was?
Oh no, there's no joke.
Okay.
I was just teeing you up to talk about
yes.
The image of animals dragging British corpses out of their tiny muddy graves. I just keep thinking about Rollo. Do you think Rollo has eaten human flesh, like for fun or nourishment?
Probably.
He's a hungry, growing lad.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Rachel knows
and Ian wouldn't let him have
snuggles him at night?
So say Ian wouldn't let Rollo have any of the biscuits that Rachel offered back at the medicine house. So yeah, oh yeah, they totally snuggle. Oh, they snuggle. You know that like Rollo puts his little snout on her shoulder.
Oh yeah,
and like puts a protective paw on her bonnet.
That's not hygienic, and she says, "I don't give a fuck."
Yeah,
I'm sure we will. That's a ding I have in this episode. Could have used more Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
I just want Rachel in all the episodes.
Yes, please.
So post, William is like, nope, we are digging because they're not going to die on the battlefield and then be British jerky for dogs. We're not doing that. He goes and sits in a tent, and Colonel Daddy, General Daddy, Daddy comes over and sits down and says, "You're a different man after this battle." He quotes Aeschylus, which is I just love it when British people say Aeschylus, which William then continues the quote like a reply guy. Just couldn't leave it as is. Anyway, William is sitting there, and you can see running across his face that he's thinking, wow, there's a grief that can't be spoken. There's a pain. Goes on and on. Empty. Well, I guess there aren't really any chairs or tables because the battlefield. Empty coops on empty tables. Now my friends are dead. And God, now my friend are dead. Here they talk of not revolution. Here it was, they stole the champagne. Here they talked about some boobies, but the boobies never came. I could keep going, folks. I am hoping you all know that's a Les Miserables joke, but if not, I have never, with one exception, seen something in a drama where I thought, this is where they're going to do the Les Miserables bit. Because that man was he just desperately, I don't know, if Charles Vandervaart sings, I promise you he listened to that. Like if that guy has a music theater background in any way, shape, or form, he listened to that song 15 times on the day they shot that scene. It's huge empty chairs and empty tables energy. The exception, as always, is Crazy Ex-Girlfriend when they did a parody of Empty Chairs and Empty Tables about a man realizing he had never given his wife an orgasm in his life. And they shot it like the Tom Hooper Les Miserables, and it is extremely funny. I urge you to go watch it. It's called The Buzzing from the Bathroom. It is filthy. So that's about it. He's sad. He has a sad.
He's sad.
His friend are dead and gone. Poor old Doomface. He died. He was so
that's
hot.
a wrap.
But you know what?
It's a wrap on the latest pound.
Sometimes you're playing a role and you get essentially like an episode and a half, because really it was one scene plus 3 or 4 scenes in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
It could be easy to just not really go for it, but they gave that guy some solid writing, and I thought, let me pull up his name. I thought in particular, his pivot to talking about titties
Mm-hmm.
was really well played, because it was so obviously a young man who is just fucking terrified, coming up with a way to distract himself.
Yeah.
Henry Ashton, just You really killed it. It's again, Outlander casting department this season. No fucking skips. No whammies. All great. This is his second ever credit.
Wow.
He was in something called Creation Stories in 2021. And then he's in production on My Lady Jane, playing Lord Stan Dudley. Which I don't know. It's a TV series. It says history's most tragic heroines, but it reimagined them with an uplifting twist. The damsel in distress saves herself and then the kingdom.
Huh.
Presumably, this is Lady Jane Grey. If it's history's tragedies, King Edward. Anyway, whatever. I'm going to watch this young man's career with interest because he's very good. Okay, so, but he's dead now, so let's go back to the 80s. Whoa, where do we even start? Are we on, did you just open another thing? Are we on beverage too? Yeah, add a girl.
We're on beverage too.
Man, waiter? Tom?
Is he not accustomed to responding to waiter?
He's done it before. It was my pandemic go-to is I would yell, waiter, bring me another Mai Tai. Hey, Tom! He just said,
I thought I heard you say something like waiter.
God damn it, I knew you were calling me. I thought I just heard you say something like waiter. Would you bring me another beverage?
Yes. What would you like?
I would like another beer, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. Waiter?
Waiter?
It was for you, babe. You're welcome. It's just we have to talk about the 80s storyline. Dude, you don't understand. It's intense.
I get it.
I want to kick off this section by talking about how fucking good Diarmaid Murtagh is. Thanks, hon.
Yeah.
Because that guy, he's good.
He's good.
First of all, hashtag let Outlander be funny. I laughed out loud, as they say. I OL'd at multiple points. A lot of them thanks be to the costume department and or the props department. One, that robe. Can we talk about the robe?
Oh my God.
It's the best. It's such a good gag. I don't know why it's so funny. It's just a robe. But when Roger at the end, we'll do the whole story, but when Roger at the end, before they go tearing off to crack the dune, goes charging into the living room to get Buck off the couch that they've splayed him out on, good old Uncle Buck, he is wearing a shorty plaid robe.
Yeah, he is.
Like he was born into it, but also it is just extremely funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's really funny. It's funny when he's sitting on the couch watching TV with the children. Why is that funny?
And Mandy's brushing his beard with a doll brush, and he's just like, yep, this is my life now.
Yep. It's funny when he's eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches like his entire life depends on it.
It sticks to your ribs.
You feed this to your parents. It's funny when he's wearing a hard hat and it's one of only two people in the entire episode to go, Rob Cameron, you're a piece of shit. Your name is pronounced like this, as he lifts two fingers to the camera. It's funny when he gets the head walloping realization that he attempted to murder his own great grandson. It's funny even in the emotionally fraught climax of this storyline when they are racing to Craignadoon. First in the car, Roger is talking about writing his Hitchhiker's Guide to Flipping My Brock and Traveling in Time and says, Galis Duncan, why did I wrote about blood sacrifice? Why did I write that? And there you just get this vibe of like, seriously, why did you write that? Like, what? Why would you do that? And then they show up and they're about to go racing up the hill, and credit to Richard Rankin, because the other reason this is so funny is him. He hands this man a flashlight and goes charging like full dad in emergency mode up the hill. And he just Buck just kind of looks at it and he goes, it's a torch, come on. And it's so, I don't know why it's so funny, but it's so funny. It seems like it would be an impossible line to walk because he is not playing for jokes. He is playing pure like 80s comedy, man unstuck in time shit, right? Like it's classic jokes, very familiar bits, but he doesn't play any of them like they're jokes. He just plays it and somehow it's funny.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. We're going to have to make a t-shirt. What goes on the Diarmaid Murtagh t-shirt?
I mean, do we take the Uncle Buck poster idea from Social and just put it on a shirt? It's the Uncle Buck movie poster, but we put all the characters' faces on it. Or no, we can do better than that.
I mean, I think that is a solid option.
Ooh, or like how there are those like tuxedo illusion t-shirts. It's just a robe illusion t-shirt.
Maybe it's like the Big Lebowski images where you see it's just the dude wearing the sweater and like his sunglasses and holding his drink, but it's just a guy and he's in like 1777 era boots and oily hair, and he's just wearing a shorty robe and drinking a wee dram and a hard hat, because the hard hat also
so funny.
It's so funny. So cheers to that guy, because he fucking rules.
Yeah.
He gets dragged into Lallybroch to explain himself and basically says, hey, so after Alamance, I ran out of money. Morag had a cousin who was successful in Inverness, and I used to be a lawyer. Casual, I used to be a lawyer drop.
Yeah.
It's like my alma mater in Boston. So they went to go meet up with him for him to take this job. And then all of a sudden he heard this terrible noise that was coming from these stones. So he went to investigate on his own, and whoops, he woke up in 1980 with these monstrous carriages roaring by at Craignadoon. So presumably what happens is he woke up with a jewel missing from his ring. He ran out to the expressway, stopped a hapless motorist, let's hope it was the same guy, and just screamed, "Who won the Battle of Culloden?" And then he is rightfully asked, okay, so that all makes sense, but how did you end up at Lallybroch terrifying my children? And he says, I saw you going into a shop in Inverness, and I think that means that it is canon that Roger lured the Nucklevy to his home by thrifting. I think that's canon. Let's see. Peanut butter sandos. Oh, Roger leaves Bree to have whiskey explained to her by a man to go check the family tree. Where it says that Buck died in the year of our Lord 1778, which is when he disappeared.
85.
What?
I got my number scrambled. Carry on.
I also got my number scrambled, but I was worried I have the wrong one. Whatever. The year he left. I thought it was 1778, but the year is 1777. Whatever fucking year he left, it's when he tells them he left is the year that it says he died. And Roger says, what? No, I didn't find a family tree. I also didn't notice that the box of very important letters and gold musket balls was unlocked. Let's continue our chat. Oh no, there's a car pulling up, and Bree says, ooh, it's Fiona and the kids, but it's not. Amelia, who is it?
It's Rob Double Barrel Cameron.
There to eat
Two
fucking wontons.
middle fingers up. Here to eat some wontons. He's here unannounced with the bottles red. Thought I'd pop by.
Oh my God. Listen,
hope it's a good time.
It's one thing to invite yourself to dinner in conversation, right? But who the fuck shows up unannounced at best an acquaintance's house and just expects to be fed and watered and amused?
I mean, I guess you can say Rob Cameron has follow through. That's one thing he has.
She'll be able to put that on his yearly review, annual review.
Yes.
Pros: commitment, initiative, follow through.
Doesn't optimize for optics.
Yes.
Because that guy's a nerd.
Cons: kidnaps children, hits on boss. Terrible tasting clothes. Why are they all the exact same shade of poop brown?
And forgets to set his Slack away messages with regularity.
Yes.
Yes.
Get it together, Rob Cameron.
Yeah, come on, Rob Cameron.
So he's shown up to invite himself to dinner. Roger shoves Buck in the old priest hole, which he's like, okay, I've been here before. It's got
another sandwich? Great.
He gets handed a stack of 2 sandwiches on a plate and no beverage. Let's review this. That man does not have a beverage with him, and he is handed 2 white bread and peanut butter sandwiches. Are they...
to keep him quiet. He can't open his fucking mouth.
Yeah, his teeth are going to be glued together. It's either that or they're trying to kill him because that man is going to die of thirst. So Rob just shows up and is immediately like, hey, how's it going, Gov? Ooh, you're cooking. Roger nags his wife about cooking some more. Not my favorite thing. This man still earns his beard at the end of the episode and also through the orgasm we're going to discuss, but he's got some weak points, namely the letters we're about to chat about, but also constantly dunking on Brie for her cooking. That woman invented matches. Lay off.
Yeah.
Get it together. She birthed 2 children for you. She forgave his ass when he was a huge fucking baby after she traveled in time and got pregnant. And he had to go like trounce through the woods and measure things to deal with his fucking feelings. All of that stuff. And he's like, but you know what? She makes shitty spaghetti. Eat shit, Roger. Why am I mad at Roger now? It's okay. All will be forgiven when he wears a kilt in a little bit.
Oh my God.
That man really can wear a fucking kilt. Mm. And then in addition to inviting himself over, Rob Cameron says, hey, I wanted to look at your father's hymnals. So he brings him up to the study and then leaves him unattended in the room with the mysterious box of time travel letters. Amelia, you had a good point about this, about specifically what he read in this box. Share your question.
Oh, is this where I was wondering how deep into the collection he read?
Presumably pretty fucking deep, right?
Well, and yeah, and that's like, I mean, like, obviously, you know, kidnapping, endangerment, eating all your wontons without any notice, like all egregious. But there's something about the idea that he broke all those seals and that he read like deeper into, I guess, the past, as it were, like, and beat Brianna to her own letters that like really has me very upset.
Me too. That was something that occurred to me as well because of the carelessness of it. Like just seeing it's weird to call it staging, but it is. It's so effective seeing just the little corner of the letter sticking out because, you know, Brie would never. Those letters would be very carefully folded and she's probably got them sorted in order, right? Like which ones she's read and which ones she hasn't. But Roger is a historian and Brie loves her mommy. So those letters would be well cared for. There is not a universe in which one of them has a little piece of a letter sticking out of that box. No way. Absolutely not. It's probably torn. Those are artifacts. What is this man's problem? Also, I'm curious, again, having read the books, you have not. We're just jumping all around, like Buck MacKenzie, jumping all around in time here. What is your read on what it is that Rob Cameron is hoping to accomplish, having somehow sussed out that time travel exists?
Well, oh no. The answer I think is also very boring, so I hope I'm wrong.
Hit me.
I'm going to be so pissed if he wants to turn back time just to like win back his French wife. Because we do get that whole thing at the end of like, I'm divorced, my wife was French, she was rich, she took the kid, I'm sad. And if he went through all that trouble just to try to win her back, I'm going to be very angry. So what's the next dumbest thing that I think this little shit weasel might do? Because I do not recall, so if there have been clues, I missed them, just in terms of like historical stakes or like ancestral stakes, beyond, you know, going back in time to patent the poop brown color that he wears and marrying into the Pantone family just so he can like reap all of those rewards. But I I do wonder if it is a reaping of rewards kind of thing. Like, is it kind of the world where I'm like, God damn it, if I had just a little bit of knowledge and like $1,000, I would invest in Apple and I'd be so comfortable, like in 1987, and then be so comfortable today. Like, would Rob Cameron try to do that? I just don't trust him to have a choice, a motive that is interesting, because this guy sucks so much.
Yes.
And so I'm just trying to like deduce the wet farts of time travel that makes the story like interesting for us, but not worth the journey, you know, like the table stakes. Like, the table stakes are going to suck, and then everything's going to be awesome, hopefully trying to get people back. So I don't know.
I think your assessment is really sound. I'll be honest. I remember a lot about what happens in the plot and not a ton about what his motivations are. I remember sort of where they lead him. So I won't say a ton, but I really like the idea that we have encountered a character who's like, ooh, time travel. That's going to let me know the lottery numbers. You know what I mean? Like something really boring and shitty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I find that.
Ooh, I have another one.
Ooh,
let's do a runner. Let's do a runner. We'll set an emotional timer. 30 seconds. Runner of more stupid reasons.
Great.
That we think that
fucking guy,
like this, you know that he's the Ken singing at you for 4 hours. Like, what is this Ken?
Oh my God.
What is this Ken going to do? Okay. And that brings me to the reason I started this. He's going to go back in time and try to keep the Beatles from breaking up. He's going to like detain Yoko's taxi because you know that he blames Yoko.
Totally.
Okay?
100%.
So he's going to fuck with Yoko's routine. Okay, next stupid reason, Allison, go.
He's going to go back to try to prevent I've mixed up the order of my bonds. Let's say Sean Connery from being cast as James Bond, because it's just he's just not a good fit. He's just not a good fit.
Yeah. He is going to assert the dominance of the cinema industry, and so it doesn't go to California, but instead comes to Scotland.
He is going back in time to meet his French wife's mom, to seduce her, to then be able to sick burn his wife by saying, "Oh yeah, I fucked your mom," when she was 19 years old. I'm your dad now, honey. I don't know where that came from, but
And that's
all right. No, one more. Give us one more.
That was really good.
Give us one more. Besides fucking Maman.
Rob got razor burn when he was shaving 2 days ago, and he was really pissed about it because he wanted to look hot for Gov. I've got one more. Rob travels in time to make it so he never eats in the damn cafeteria ever again, because one time he figured out that the lady who makes the nice profiteroles that Brie talks about hates him so much that she always spits in his food, so he's consumed a lot of spit. So he goes back in time to tell his slightly younger self to never eat in the cafeteria. And that's canon now. That's all canon.
Spit food. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Rob Cameron sucks is what we're saying. I feel like this is a good way of approaching this. Let's finish up our Rob Cameron talk. So at the end of The World's Worst Dinner Party, which, by the way, I am a little bummed because maybe my favorite TV trope of all time is the ruined dinner party. It's never not funny. Anytime there's a dinner party and something goes wrong, you just know that things are going to be very entertaining and stupid. Even in a drama, like people are getting in fights and people are drinking too much and food. There's always like a food situation and someone drops a plate in shock, and like it's the best. It's not ruined enough. Buck should have come in at some point. That really would have. Mm-hmm. Ooh, sorry, and then he walks away with his PB&Js. Also, we should say this. The dinner is when it becomes apparent that Mandy recognizes that Rob Cameron is full of shit, which means that there are two people in this storyline that somehow recognize that Rob Cameron is full of shit? I guess 3. I keep wanting to say Hilda. I do not remember the cafeteria, the lunch lady's name, but we'll say Hilda. So it's 3. Hilda of the Profiteroles, Mandy MacKenzie, and Buck MacKenzie are all like, you suck. And for some reason, Bri and Roger are like, no, he doesn't.
No, he's lonely. He's a
Brianna.
lonely divorcee.
Brianna, he literally locked you in a cave system. What the fuck? He made you walk through time travel dick rock jizz. What the fuck? This man is bad news.
Yeah.
The only good thing this man ever did with you is make your husband angry enough to fuck you real good. That's the only good thing this man has ever done. Apologies to his child. But I'm just going to go ahead and assume that his kid sucks at least a little bit too. Although maybe not. Sure. Nature versus nurture. My nice French girl wife took him back to France. It's currently 4 p.m. and this 12-year-old is drunk somewhere. Just eating some haricots verts and having some daddy issues. So he's snooped in the study. He's invited himself to dinner. He's pretended to be good with children with Jem, talking about turbines. He then invites himself to stay for a fucking nightcap. Can you imagine the audacity? And then finally he leaves and says, does Jem want to come watch a movie with Bobby? He can stay the night with Bobby too. This is not his child. This is his sister's child. He is inviting a child to stay at the house of someone he is related to, but is not. Right? Like, he is volunteering his sister for a sleepover. As we will later learn, his sister also seems to know that he sucks. Amelia, did you have something you wanted to add? I feel like I cut you off.
We're good. Carry on. He just sucks so much. The flames are on the side of my face, and you could feel them. So they finally get him out of the goddamn house.
We go to investigate the priest hole.
He's gone. Where's Buck? Watching TV.
Do you know what he's watching, Amelia? Do you know what that show is? We have 2 classic TV references in this episode.
Is it the same show where in Mad Men, Sally flicks the bean to it and gets caught at the sleepover? Is it the same space show?
I don't know. I don't remember what show that is. It's a space show. But do you know what that space show is called?
Shoot My Brock into Space.
I wish. It's called Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. Which is why
fucking kidding
when Mandy is brushing his beard, she says, "You're Buck and Daddy's Roger." Because Buck Rogers.
Wow.
It's cute, right? Like
that is cute.
It is entirely too on the nose, but I sort of embrace it because then we get that great moment of him going, "Astronaut." If my Latin serves me. So charming. But yeah, he's not in the priest hole. He is hanging out with Jem and Mandy, who found they were supposed to be getting ready for bed. Were they? No. They were springing the Nucklevy from priest hole jail and watching TV with him in the camper van. It's extremely cute. Why?
I loved it.
That man, this is another one of those storylines that I thought for sure they were going to have a hard time with, like the Christies, where if you paint with broad strokes, it's impossible to get you on board in the way that you need to be on board for it to work, right? I was dreading Malva Christie because I did not think the show could do it. And to its credit, and specifically to Jessica Reynolds' credit, they absolutely did. And I think they're doing this here too, because again, this maybe that recasting helps in the situation, because this motherfucker tried to murder Roger for talking to his wife.
Yep.
And unleashed on him a profound emotional trauma, and on us a divisive episode, which is filmed in part like a silent movie, which has a lot of detractors. So
I blocked that part out. Yeah.
He has a lot to answer for. And yet he's talking about astronaut. And I'm like, you are the most charming slime ball. I love you so much. Don't ever leave me. He's great. Am I wrong?
He's great.
Am I overreacting?
I love him. No, I love him.
Yeah. Really, another really, really solid addition to the cast. Just doing really, really well. So, post TV watching, Bree and Roger have a little chat. Roger's like, oh, well, now he's cousin Buck. And once I told him he was my great granddad, he got on board. Once I beat the snot out of him, I forgave him. We should let him sleep in the house. And Bree goes, no. But they decided to let him sleep on the couch, which again, I don't know why that's so funny, but the idea of that man sleeping on a couch is extremely funny to me. And then Bree says, I don't want him in the house by himself. And Roger says, well, I can't bring him to school.
School.
So she brings him to the dam. He wears a hard
Bring your
hat.
Buck to work day.
I specifically wrote, hold on. Bring your Buck and Mandy have shitty dude radar. Roger kilt. Maybe you could. He shouldn't be allowed to bring airplanes back in time. By the way, that's not a great idea.
It's a bad idea.
It's the space room. God damn it. It was funny. Bring your another whatever it is. I'm no errand boy, lovely French girl, astronaut, cousin Buck. Take your time traveling homicidal great granddad to work day. But you know what? It's good that he did that she did, because he got to wear a hard hat. He got to look at mountains. He got to have some complicated feelings about his family. Bree got to sense that maybe he doesn't want to go back. Presumably we'll learn more about that in the future. And he got to notice that Rob Cameron was maybe touching Bree a little extra much. And he says, that man has the hots for you. And she goes, it's called being nice.
Nice.
Because apparently this brilliant young woman has learned nothing. I mean, we've all been fooled by a Rob Cameron.
Oh, yeah.
But Brianna, again, he locked you in a tunnel system, and then he invited himself to your house and ate your wontons.
Monster.
Total monster.
So back home, the workday is over. Roger is wearing his cute outfit with his season 7 blue sweater and his kilt and his sporran and his knee socks.
Looks so fucking good.
Being so cute, tidying his desk, and he doesn't notice the corner of the letter hanging out of it yet.
It takes him so long to notice the corner of the letter hanging out. I have a brief important question, Amelia. Do you think Jeff would ever wear a kilt?
I bet he could be convinced.
Are you going to try to make that happen when you're in ye old Scotland?
I am now.
Yeah, you are. Fuck yes.
Yeah,
I feel like he could pull one off.
I think he could.
Jeff is Amelia's
He's
husband.
He's a ginger.
Folks. He is a ginger.
He also has like a blue Henley, not dissimilar to what Roger's wearing. And when we were in Nova Scotia like 5 years ago, we were in like this little tiny town, and the owner of the restaurant we were in walked right up to Jeff and just goes, "I know you." Thought that he was related to someone in this town of like in Starz Hollow, Nova Scotia. I was insistent that like he used to live there. He's related to somebody. He's somebody's dad. So we joked that he has a secret Nova Scotia family. My mom gets him Nova Scotia tartan things for Christmas. This is a whole thing that we do. This bit won't die. So I'm just saying, if he is very believable in Nova Scotia, in actual Scotia, I think we could work with that. I think we could work with that. In
Scotia proper.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So he's looking through.
He's cute. He's looking around. It's very quiet in the house. Where's old Granda? And Buck's in the camper van, marveling over the toy airplane.
Fondling an airplane.
Buck's basically, Buck tells Roger, Rob has a hot eye for your wife. Roger's like, LOL, no. Please don't. And Buck's like, okay, I just thought it was the right thing to do to tell you. Oh, well. But that gets a little something gets riled up in Roger. Enough moments of hot for your wife. And they're making the bed later that night. Bree and Roger with their fabulous floral sheets.
And then they bang it out to Phil Collins in the air tonight.
Do
you think that Outlander has just dropped the Brianna has a hard time orgasming thing? Or are we meant to believe that this time was different? My sense was that they've just dropped it.
Yeah, I feel like it's a long road up hoe. It's a long. it's a complicated issue, and without getting too Cinemax, how are we going to really work through the orgasm thing? So yeah, I think they just dropped it.
Well, in this case, she definitely comes. She feels it coming through the air tonight. Hold on. She's been waiting for this moment for all her life. Hold on. How did you feel about the sex scene? It was apparently divisive. I loved it.
Apparently it was divisive. Yeah, I loved it. I mean, Allison, you had a great point about the facial expressions that I'll let you make, but it was the right mix of, they seemed very comfortable with each other, but it also seemed like they were still like actively interested in what was going on. It was, you know, it was a spicy twist on what other guys might be a position they've known and that we just haven't seen them do before, but it just seemed like they were very engaged. But facial expression wise, Allison, take it away.
Yeah, there has apparently been some, Sophie Skelton made some weird faces. And y'all, if you're having really good sex, you're absolutely not worried about what your face is doing. Like, that's the whole point. If an actor doing a sex scene wants to do a good job telling the story of I'm having really good sex, like really good, immediate, primal sex, that's, human beings are animals, and that's maybe when it's most apparent that we're animals, is when we're fucking and enjoying it. And I really appreciate it. Like, there's this moment when I rewatched today for notes, there's this moment when she sort of ends up with his nose in her mouth.
Yeah.
And that was so, not that I spend a lot of time with people's noses in my mouth, but that was so recognizable to me as like, I'm so busy having this physical experience and sensation that I'm just breathing and feeling, and I cannot be bothered to think about whether or not it's weird that your nose is in my mouth. Like,
yeah.
You just become like a vessel for sensation. That's what it is. And the less vanity that you have going into a sex scene, which really, that's why, part of why, one of the many reasons why intimacy coordinators, and Outlander clearly has an excellent intimacy coordinator or team of intimacy coordinators. I'll have to check. It's very visually appealing, right? They are two beautiful people. They look good together. They've done an interesting thing where it looks like Bree is really tan, presumably because her job is outside. You know what I mean? Like, she looks like she's just got like a little suntan in a very natural kind of way. But they look good together. The bedding is beautiful. The thing they're doing where the blanket is sort of wrapped around them is really hot. It looks visually very appealing because of the way that it's staged, but because it's staged so well, that gives both of them, and Sophie in particular, but both of them, the opportunity to just worry about conveying what the experience is like without having to worry about what their bodies are doing. So they're able to communicate some of that unself-consciousness and that lack of vanity that when you've fully given yourself over to an experience, you have, right? No one who is having a mind-blowing orgasm is thinking about whether or not their back is arched and their tits are up. Like, no one is thinking about whether or not their face is doing something pretty, because they're too busy, like, having an earth-shattering come. You know what I mean? They're too busy breaking all of the windows in the big house with the violence of their passion. And I really appreciate, that's something that Outlander has done quite a number of times. Not so much in the first season, but the first season was more romance novel-y, and also there were a lot of slow burn sex scenes, right? Like a lot of, and even then we still, like, Katrina is very good at this too, right? She's very good at, I'm having this experience and feeling physically sort of free in a way that's really good storytelling and also makes it seem like these people are having hot sex on the regular. Both the characters and the people doing the sex scenes, because they know what hot sex looks like. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was a big appreciator of that. And I think it's really well art directed and really well acted. And those actors are very comfortable together. And also it was just nice to see some fucking.
Mm-hmm. Although, would you say that what's in the air tonight, at least for Roger, is Brianna's breath? Because his nose is in her mouth.
Mm.
It's in the air. That's what's in the air
Yeah,
tonight.
but presumably it was his turn to cook. So, because it was Brianna's turn the night before. So presumably if it smelled like garlic or whatever, he has no one to blame but himself.
So true.
I hope
So
it's not peanut butter, because then they would both just be thinking about Buck.
Fucking to Buck. It's the it's the trend that's sweeping the nation.
So we've already talked quite a lot about the big reveal that Jem is missing. But basically, psychic baby connection makes Mandy wake up screaming in the middle of the night. When Roger finally notices the letters have been tampered with. And then Bree calls Bobby's mom and says, Bobby,
Poopy.
where's my Jemmy? Sleeping over movie.
Please don't take him to Cragna, dude.
But Rob's sister looks out the window and is like, oh, Rob's car is gone. By the way, he wasn't here. I should have probably mentioned that my brother is a piece of shit. So, yeah, it sure. Oh, and our title card was the Tufty Club, which is the other classic TV reference. That's a British TV thing. Jem got a Tufty Club badge at school. And Buck goes perilously close to the stones because the show has never decided how close you can get to the stones without being sucked in. Picks up the scarf. So it sure does, based on what Mandy says, which is that Jem is gone. The stone screamed at her, and Jem is gone from up here, from their weird psychic baby connection. And from finding this scarf, that Rob has somehow taken Jem back in time. Which presumably means that Rob can travel in time. That certainly is what the story, the evidence presented seems to be suggesting. Was that your read on it?
Yes. But I do, Allison, you are the expert here in television and the books. I just can't believe that I'm correcting you.
Ooh, hit me.
But the Tufty Club is actually what I call it when I enjoy looking at Roger's chest hair.
I wrote a joke, Amelia, that I forgot to include, where I said the Tufty Club is for children with vestigial tails. I'm so glad that we took the same thing and did jokes in very different directions. The Tufty Club is for when you look at Roger's chest hair. Oh, you dirty slut. Julie's going to love that joke so much. Oh, my God. The Tufty Club.
The Tufty Club, baby.
We got to laugh because Jem has been kidnapped through time. He's somewhere saying, can I have a biscuit? I'm so hungry. Traveling in time makes me hungry. Do you think that's what happened? Do you think he's stoned it?
I mean, I think so. Also, because we watched the next week, so yes, like next week on Outlander. Yeah, so yes, super. He got stoned. Is now the time to air my hopefully batshit theory on where they landed?
Yes. I'm assuming what you're about to say is he went back 20 years to fuck his French lady wife's mom.
Yes.
And Jem is just watching.
Jem is just watching. I just have this terrible fear that in the next episode, we're going to go back to face down sexy quail. And then we hear Glenda. And Jenny has been transported to the battlefield. And then has to like when we were talking earlier about Tom Christie dragging Jamie back to Claire. Well, Tom Christie has the front half, and then Jem is just like trying to kick along his feet, like trying to help because he's too small. Like I was concerned, like if you go, we were just talking about how if you go through the stones, you're supposed to think about your family or who you want to see, and like Jem is probably scared. He's being kidnapped. He's being taken through the stones, and then what if he's like Glenda and Miss Glenda, and then okay, well here's what you wished for. Amelia,
Jesus fucking Christ, that's so deranged.
But that's my concerned because you've been warning that, like,
the legendary
most
stone
deranged thing.
circle in Saratoga, New York. Oh my god!
I just,
Oh my god, that's so funny.
I was worried that you'd be like, stop talking. That's exactly what happens.
No,
just like you accidentally
no.
guessed that Buck MacKenzie hung.
No,
Or that
honey,
yeah.
no,
Okay.
because there's, I mean, who knows? Maybe there is a stone circle somewhere in New York State. Can you imagine him in his little sweater and his jeans and his little shoes with his little school bag just showing up on the Revolutionary War battlefield? He's like, oh no, I forgot my scarf. Granda, I was going to show you me Tufty Club badge.
Granda, my textbook is a font you've never seen. Look at the binding, Granda. It's made in a
Granda.
factory and not hand done at all.
I don't have my favorite plane to show you, and I never got to say hello to Michael Mouse. Oh, no, that doesn't happen.
Okay.
Okay, but what does happen is we're about to do scales. So we've already talked a little bit about the getting up to get a beer scale, but Amelia, on a scale of Ken Burns baseball to Ken Burns' Jem just traveled through the stones to meet his granddad on the battlefield, where would you put your likelihood of walking away from this episode?
I would put it at the I'll make a man out of you montage from Mulan.
Is this just because we're thinking about doing a Disney karaoke night? Is that why you had Mulan on the brain?
Yes.
That's hilarious. Okay. Great. I will go ahead and second that. Actually, no, I was trying to think of a way to make a Parent Trap joke, but now I'm just picturing Haley Mills dancing over Jamie's in unconscious form. Yeah. Good God. Okay. All right. Sexy time scale. On a scale of the actual reason for the writing of the Police's Every Breath You Take to the actual reason for the writing of Layla by Cream, one of several songs, immortal rock songs written about Patty Harrison, who apparently was hot shit. Where would you put the sexy times?
Damn, I had one that's not music, but I'll do
No,
music.
please
Okay,
do the one that's not music. It's fine.
The sex in the bathroom scene from Amelie.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's another pair of people who are just feeling it and don't care what they look like.
Yeah, that's a really good choice.
Otherwise, I guess music-wise, first thing that comes to mind is like Beast of Burden.
Yeah. Maybe Rob Cameron should go back in time to make the Stones break up at a good time for them, as opposed to just touring while they're, they should all be in a pleasant retirement.
Yeah.
Great. I'm going to say, if I want to try to do a music one, I was trying to come up with something about Mariah Carey singing Fantasy on the roller coaster. I am going to say that. I'm going to say Mariah Carey singing Fantasy on a roller coaster, only it's a cut where you see bugs fly into her mouth and she doesn't care. All right. And costumes. On a scale of unsexy quail to the sexiest of all quails, where would you put the costumes for this episode?
One of the lesser bird costumes in Moonrise Kingdom.
Great.
No one's going to ask you what kind of bird you are, but you're there.
Great. And I'm going to say Amelia's clown costume that she wore to see the legendary marionettes of yore.
It's true. It's a real clown costume. It's from Fashion Brand Company. Okay.
We'll do a bonus episode at some point. All right. That's it. We might talk about this episode more with Julie at some point because I have a feeling she'll want to talk about this one. And also I just need to talk to her about In the Air Tonight and her thoughts on that drum break. But man, I'm really excited about the finale, aren't you?
Yeah.
2 weeks.
I'm just mad we have to wait.
I know.
Yeah.
It's really nice to be this excited about Outlander. I mean, I enjoy every season. Do not get me wrong. And season 6 slapped really hard. But I haven't felt like, ooh, God, gimme, in quite a while. This is a good season.
Yes.
All right.
Compliments to the chef.
Indeed. Compliments to the chef, unless it's Brianna, because that bitch cannot cook.
Or unless you're waiting on supplies to go into your little general fancy tent.
Because otherwise you're just eating mustard greens.
God damn it.
Bye.
You're not allowed to say mustard. Bye.
I've got a thing to open for the end reel.
Oh, you do? What is it?
It's a 2 women bitch.
Hell yeah. I'm so sad I missed camping this year.
So did I, but you know what? It's going to be delicious.
Yeah, it is.
But we're not here to talk about missing camping.
No.
By complete coincidence, every week in August, because these are definitely recorded for every episode and not recorded in one fell swoop for the entire month.
Sure.
We're here to talk about the amazing audio program that we just completed right now in this very second.
And then posted to the internet for your listening pleasure.
Immediately, too. Just no downtime.
Nope.
Just like sent it right from our brains to the internet with no stopgap. Amelia just follows us around with instruments in case we need her.
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, that's not terribly far from the truth.
I agree.
It really is. Like, you can just say, hey, Amelia, hey, Buzz, can you be here in half an hour with a recorder? And she's like,
yeah,
can I?
She did show up at my house last time we did this with a bag full of instruments.
Oh, she did. And I gave her
my that's right. Because she did My Heart Will Go On from my kitchen, which was amazing.
She is a ham who is on the loose.
On the loose.
She's a ham on the loose. Anyway, point is, that was a great show, wasn't it, Patty? We did great. We did great.
We always do great. And we would just like to tell you a few things so that then we can get to thanking the really great people.
Yeah.
So this amazing piece of content was edited by me, Julie. It was produced by Allison and Julie, and other stuff by Allison. Our social media game is tight. And that's thanks to Amelia Ham on the Loose Bazell, as well as all the bad recorder covers. Love you, baby. Mean it. Our artwork is by Laura Barrios, a.k.a. Viv Pickles. Our Slack maven is Jenna Pulkowski. You can find us on Facebook.com/PodlanderCast, on Instagram @PodlanderCast. You can find all of our shit there. You can also find us at PodlanderPresents.com, where you can find all sorts of info about our high-quality content like this right here. If you like what you heard, please consider leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Pocket Casts or whatever the hell is new. I don't know, whatever you're listening to right now. And we want to thank all of you for listening, but we especially want to thank our patrons. You can become a patron at patreon.com/PodlanderDrunkcast, where you can support the show, join the Slack, get early episode access, and all sorts of fun bonus content.
Live streams, baby. You can see so many live streams. Bitch, you could have watched us be all geared up to react to the Nuclevi and then be underwhelmed by the Nuclevi reveal in real time.
What a whiff. Thanks to all of our patrons. You all make it possible for us to do all this stupid shit. You know what you're like? You're like taking a shower and sliding into clean sheets.
We are the Buck MacKenzie of this podcasting relationship, and you all are the Jem and Mandy smuggling us all the chips and crisps and
combing our beard with a Barbie brush.
And combing our beard with a Barbie brush.
Mm-hmm.
Julie, did you pick up on they were watching Buck Rogers?
Yes.
I'm obsessed. Anyway, we want to thank all of our patrons. You are all lovely, delicate blossoms and or hardy behemoths of strength, or sensitive souls with beautiful auras, or whatever it is that's going to make you feel good, because we love you and you're the best and you deserve exactly the praise you want.
Mm-hmm.
But we especially want to thank the following lovely folks who sponsor at the level where we say their name in a big fat rush at the end of every episode. Are you ready?
Hell yeah.
Kristen Blanton, Caitlin Gibbons, Katie the Jordi Fishwife, Mindy Newell, Rachel Ravel, Brenda, Allison King, Jock, JWS, Sydney Taylor, Snazzy Knack, Lisa Brienne, Julia Gulia, Kathleen Martini, Lauren Tennant, Kelsey Kemp, Emily Day, Betsy. You know what? It's been a while since we've told it. It's been a while since we've told a Lauren Tennant is not related to David Tennant joke. So I just want to say once again for the record that Lauren Tennant, not
related.
Not related to David Tennant.
Not related.
Unless she is, in which case, thank you for respecting his privacy. Celebrities need love too. Kelsey Kemp, Emily Day, Betsy English, Caitlin Reddick, Jen Collins, Tina Barnett, Nicole Rodriguez, Kristen Freckled Fury, Liz and Tinkerbell, Terry Welch, Rochelle Lefevre, Amanda Smith, Amy Gustafson, Rachel Townsend, Kelly Mazzella, Chantel Salters, Tara Lucchino, Viv Pickles, aka Laura, Mary of the Grapefruit, Jenna Bukowski, Ann Gibson, Ruth McCormick, Carolyn Marlowe, Trish McCrary, Julie DeToy, Jen Lynn, Cannonball, Amanda Newton, Elizabeth Young, and Kiki. The Wise. Stay tuned, bitches, for a mid-season finale live show announcement sometime soonish. We're not in any great rush. The show's not back until next year, y'all. We're not in a hurry to make sure that we get y'all down to the Oasis. To get you all to slip on down to the Oasis. But keep your an eye peeled, an ear pricked, a psychic connection with your baby sister open and flowing to find out about more fun stuff you can do with us. In the meantime, we're going to go back to drinking our bevs and loving you all.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, folks. Let me see if I can sum up Midnight Burger in about 25 seconds.
Jesus Christ! It'll be fine. So this is how it ends. Eaten by wolves in space.
Pardon me, Gloria. Might my husband and I have a word?
The radio is talking to me.
Really, big monster?
Zero irony.
We're surrounded by cavemen.
What the hell is that?
Because you're having a cigarette in 415 million BC.
Where are we?
Space?
Can you narrow that down?
The bad part?
Ava.
Yeah, that didn't work at all. At the nexus of all things, there is a diner. Look for Midnight Burger on your favorite podcasting app or just go to weopenat6.com.